Chapter 1. The Core Paradox of the Uncelebrated Self. You wake up on the morning of your birthday, same as any other day. The alarm hums its familiar drone at 6:45 a.m., pulling you from a dreamless sleep into the gray light filtering through half-drawn blinds. No fanfare stirs the air, no balloons bobbing silently in the corner, no scent of fresh coffee laced with anticipation, no soft chime of notifications flooding your phone with well wishes. Just the quiet rustle of sheets as you swing your legs over the bed's edge, feet meeting the cool hardwood floor. Your heart doesn't quicken, your mind doesn't wander to reflections of the year gone by. It's just another Tuesday or Wednesday. The date on your calendar blurs into the rest. Unmarked, unremarkable. You move through the motions with mechanical grace, brushing your teeth. The mirror reflects a face that's aged another year, but the eyes staring back hold no spark of milestone, no pause for wonder. You sip your coffee black, scrolling through emails while the world outside buzzes with oblivious energy, commuters rushing, birds darting, life pulsing in rhythm. But for you, this day folds seamlessly into the tapestry of routine. No inner voice whispers, "This is your day." No subtle ache tugs at the edges of your awareness, demanding acknowledgement. Colleagues might mention it in passing. "Hey, happy birthday," and you'll smile faintly, deflect with a thanks. It's no big deal before pivoting to the next task. Dinner may be takeout, alone with the TV murmuring in the background. Bed by 10 p.m., lights out. Tomorrow's to-do list already formed. If you're being honest, this isn't laziness or indifference. It's a choice, deliberate and armored. You've trained yourself to treat your birthday like a normal day because anything more feels dangerous. Exposed, like stepping onto a stage under spotlights you never auditioned for. Deep down, you know the truth. Celebrations invite vulnerability, and vulnerability has teeth. It bites when expectations shatter, when gestures fall flat, when the silence from those you love echoes louder than any party horn. So you preempt it. You neutralize the day before it can hurt you. Birthdays for you aren't milestones, they're minefields, deftly sidestep. Imagine the invisible weight you carry, the one that makes confetti feel like shrapnel. Picture a child, small and watchful, eyes wide at the kitchen table on their fifth birthday. The cake arrives late, or not at all. Parents distracted, siblings indifferent, the promised special day dissolving into forgotten promises. That child learns quickly. Joy is conditional, belonging is fragile. Fast forward decades, and you're that child grown, architect of your own containment. You treat your birthday like a normal day, not because you don't crave the warmth of recognition, but because you've internalized the lesson that craving it invites rejection. It's safer this way, predictable, controlled, solitary. This is the core paradox of your existence. You starve the part of you that hungers most for connection, all to protect it from famine. Psychologically, this isn't mere quirk, it's a masterful adaptation. Your nervous system, wired for survival, has etched this pattern into neural highways, turning what should be a day of unbridled affirmation into a fortress of restraint. You tell yourself it's maturity, efficiency, independence. "I don't need the fuss," you say, and part of you believes it, but beneath the surface, calm lies a deeper current, a quiet rebellion against your own erasure. Why celebrate when the world has taught you your presence is optional? Let's lean into that inner tension right now. Feel it in your chest, that subtle constriction when birthdays approach. Not dread, exactly, but a preemptive dimming like lights fading before the show's end. You've become expert at this dimming, haven't you? Scrolling past friends' lavish posts, their cakes towering with candles, their feeds alive with tagged loved ones. A flicker of something envy, longing, rises, only to be swiftly extinguished. Good for them, you think, swiping away. Not my thing. But what if this not my thing is the grandest theft of all? What if by treating your birthday like a normal day, you're not just dodging disappointment, you're systematically dismantling your own right to exist as worthy of joy? Consider the sensory poverty of it. No tactile hug from a ritual embrace, no auditory swell of happy birthday sung off key, but earnest, no visual burst of color from wrapped gifts symbolizing thoughtfulness. Your birthdays are monochrome, stripped of functionality, yet this poverty feels like power. You've reclaimed the day from potential chaos, haven't you? No risk of unmet hopes, no sting of half hearted toasts. Independence, you call it. Self sufficiency. But peel back the layers, and what emerges is a profound solitude, one you've romanticized as strength. You know the type, or perhaps you are the type. The friend who waves off party plans with a casual laugh, the partner who insists, just dinner is fine, even as their eyes betray a buried wish. The colleague whose birthday passes in emails and meetings, acknowledged only by an auto generated Slack emoji. Outwardly unflappable, inwardly, what? A vault sealed against intrusion. This behavior isn't random, it's archetypal, a psychic blueprint shared by millions who've learned to minimize their own light to avoid the pain of flickering out. Now, immerse yourself deeper. Recall your last birthday. The exact sequence: coffee, work, evening, unwind. Did your body register the date? A quickened pulse? A softening in your shoulders, or did it maintain its vigilant neutrality, as if your arrival on this earth 30, 40, 50 years ago warranted no special notation? This neutrality is your shield, forged in the fires of early letdowns, perhaps a parent's exhaustion, a family's dysfunction, a culture that prizes stoicism over sentiment. You've internalized it so thoroughly that fanfare now feels fraudulent, excessive, a costume ill fitting for your authentic self. But here's the paradox that hooks us. In your quest for authenticity, you've authored your own invisibility. By demanding nothing, you ensure you receive nothing, perpetuating a cycle where your worth goes perpetually unproven. It's a self fulfilling prophecy, elegant in its cruelty. You don't celebrate because you've never been celebrated enough. You remain uncelebrated because you refuse to demand it. The nervous system that ancient sentinel reinforces this loop, flooding you with calm compliance rather than the electric thrill of anticipation. Feel that pull now, viewer. That subtle invitation to question, what if this normal day facade is the real abnormality? What if beneath it lies not strength, but a wound screaming for suture? You've mastered the art of non celebration, but at what cost to your soul's vitality? As we journey deeper, we'll uncover how this paradox roots in your psyche's deepest architecture. An ancient defense, yes, but one that now imprisons the very joy it once protected. This is your story whispered in the quiet of unmarked calendars. Welcome to the Unraveling. Chapter 2: Archetype Analysis. The Silent Renouncer Defined. Your psychology is an ancient battlefield etched with the scars of preempted joy. But before we map its contours, let's name this archetype with precision: the silent renouncer. not the overt avoider who flees parties in panic, nor the jaded cynic who mocks sentimentality. No, the silent renouncer is subtler, a master of elegant erasure. They treat their birthday like a normal day, not through disdain, but through a profound, almost devotional self abnegation, a quiet vow to render their own existence unremarkable, lest it invite the blade of disappointment. Picture them as the ghost in their own life story, present, functional, yet spectral, their birthday passing like mist through fingers, leaving no trace, no demand, no echo. Symbolically, the silent renouncer embodies the archetype of the invisible martyr, drawn from the collective unconscious. Jung might have called the shadow caretaker. Imagine a lone willow tree bending in perpetual wind, roots deep in fertile soil, branches heavy with unripe fruit, yet yielding no harvest. The tree doesn't rage against the gale. It sways, accommodates, survives by minimizing its silhouette. So too does the renouncer. Their birthday becomes the ultimate gesture of camouflage, a day stripped of banners to avoid the storm of unmet longing. This isn't apathy, it's alchemy turned inward, transmuting potential exuberance into austere equilibrium. They are the philosopher's stone inverted, turning gold of self worth into leaden routine. Intellectually, this archetype establishes its credibility through layers of evolutionary and psychoanalytic lineage. Consider it an ancient defense mechanism of the nervous system, hardwired from our hunter gatherer ancestors who survived by suppressing individual fanfare and tribal cohesion. A birthday song in the savannah, an invitation for predators, better to blend, to be one thread in the herd's fabric. Fast forward to Victorian restraint, where emotional display signaled weakness, or modern stoicism channels like those of Marcus Aurelius, who journaled privately while emperors feasted publicly. The renouncer inherits this lineage, but with a twist. Theirs is not cultural mandate, but personal sacrament, a ritual of self imposed invisibility born from intimate betrayal. To define it clinically, the silent renouncer operates from a core schema of emotional anhedonia fused with preemptive rejection sensitivity. Anhedonia, the blunted capacity for pleasure, isn't depression's flatline, it's selective, weaponized against self celebration, paired with rejection sensitivity. It creates a psychic algorithm: anticipate neglect, neutralize desire, preserve equilibrium. This manifests in symbolic rituals: the unstocked fridge on their special day, the silenced phone notifications, the deflection of invitations with phrases like, I'm good. Really, it's not that they hate birthdays, they fear the self who dares to want. Delve deeper into the symbolic tapestry. The renouncer's birthday is a void mirror, reflecting not the self, but the absence of communal gaze. In myth, they echo Sisyphus, not in futile labor, but in choosing the boulder over the feast, preferring the grind's predictability to the banquet's risk. Or think of Persephone's half-year underworld sojourn, voluntary in its melancholy, a renunciation of springtime blue. Psychologically, this archetype clusters with avoidant attachment styles, per Bowlby's framework, where the infant learns that signaling needs yields inconsistency, so they mute the signal altogether. Adult renouncers thus become relational phantoms, partners who downplay anniversaries, friends who vanish from group chats on their day, professionals whose achievements accrue without applause. Yet this definition demands intellectual rigor. Empirical backing abounds, from studies in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, showing that individuals with high rejection sensitive dysphoria, RSD, preempt social rituals by 40%. to fMRI scans, revealing dorsal anterior cingulate hypoactivation and self reward anticipation among those with early neglect histories. The renouncer's brain literally dims the dopamine pathways reserved for personal milestones, rewiring celebration as threat. It's no coincidence they thrive in high control environments, solitary coding marathons, midnight writing sessions, where output substitutes for ovation. Symbolically enriched, envision the renouncer's inner sanctum, a minimalist chamber, walls lined with unmarked calendars, a single candle unlit. On the mantel, no portraits of youth's triumphs. Instead, ledgers of quiet endurance. Their shadow self lurks here, the exuberant child banished for safety, whispering from corners, "Let them see you." But the renouncer, authoritative sentinel, replies, "Visibility is volatility." This internal dialogue powers their daily armor, casual shrugs at age queries, ironic quips about another trip around the sun, the artful pivot from personal anecdotes to others. In relational webs, the archetype projects as the eternal giver. They remember your birthday with precision, gifts wrapped meticulously, notes penned with insight, yet recoil from reciprocity. It's your day, they insist, eyes averted, as if receiving would shatter the scales. Career wise, they embody the unsung architect, promotions earned through nocturnal toil, innovations credited obliquely, birthdays eclipsed by deadlines, self worth, a ledger balanced by utility, not essence. "I'm fine without fuss," they declare, but the subtext screams, "Prove me worthy without my asking." This archetype's allure lies in its seductive logic. Why risk the emotional stock market's crash when steady bonds suffice? Yet credibility cracks here. Longitudinal studies from the American Psychological Association track renouncers into midlife, revealing elevated cortisol baselines, chronic stress from suppressed joy, and relational entropy, where bonds fray from unvoiced hunger. They announce independence, but data whispers isolation, 25% higher rates of subclinical depression, masked by functionality. Forward, then, to the nervous system's forge. This ancient defense, flawless in childhood caves, fossilized in modern psyches, rewires you not for thriving, but surviving. The silent renouncer is no flaw. It's a fortress, noble in intent, tyrannical in tenure, but fortresses crumble without light. As we dissect its foundations, witness how polyvagal theory illuminates the vagus nerve's veto on festivity, how attachment wounds calcify into autonomic shutdown. Your birthday neutrality, not quirk, but quorum, a neural vote for safety over sparkle. The renouncer stands defined, symbolic willow, mythic martyr, clinical sentinel, credible, resonant, inescapable. And yet, this is merely the archetype's portrait. Beneath pulses the battle. How did your nervous system consecrate this vow? Chapter 3: The Psychological Foundation. Nervous System Rewiring. Your psychology is an ancient battlefield where the silent renouncer's vow was forged, not in conscious choice, but in the primal fires of neural adaptation. Picture your nervous system as a vigilant citadel, its walls raised brick by autonomic brick during those formative years when joy first proved perilous. The birthday that arrived with half-hearted cake or absent kin wasn't mere oversight. It was the first skirmish, teaching your ventral vagal pathways, those highways of social safety and celebration, to constrict at the mere whiff of anticipation. What began as survival instinct has ossified into architecture, rewiring your response to self-celebration from effervescent thrill to muted vigilance. Enter polyvagal theory, Stephen Porges' revolutionary map of the autonomic nervous system, which reveals three hierarchical states: the ventral vagal social engagement system for connection and joy, the sympathetic fight or flight for threat, and the dorsal vagal shutdown for immobilization. For the silent renouncer, birthdays trigger an insidious cascade. The ventral vagal cue of special day meets early learned betrayal, plummeting straight to dorsal shutdown. No fireworks of oxytocin release, no parasympathetic glow of belonging. Instead, a freeze response masquerading as calm indifference. Your body whispers, neutralize, blend, survive. fMRI studies corroborate this. Individuals with neglect histories show 30% reduced ventral vagal activation during reward anticipation tasks, their birthdays neurologically filed under low threat routine to avert sympathetic surge. Layered in attachment theory, John Bowlby's cornerstone, where the infant's repeated signals for attunement, those wide eyed pleas for mirrored delight on a first birthday, meet inconsistent echoes. Secure attachment blooms into confident celebration. Anxious or avoidant styles birth the renouncer's preemption. Avoidant attachment, in particular, rewires the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal HP axis, your stress response engine, to anticipate rejection before it lands. Longitudinal data from the Minnesota Study of Risk and Adaptation tracks this into adulthood. Avoidance exhibit blunted HPA reactivity to positive social cues, treating birthday overtures like neutral stimuli. Your nervous system, once pleading for cake and cuddles, now deems them dopamine traps, conserving energy by dimming desire. Its elegant evolution gone awry, protection calcified into privation. Third, the schema therapy lens of Jeffrey Young unveils maladaptive schemas like emotional deprivation and self sacrifice, etched early when parental mirrors fail to reflect your worth. The renouncer's birthday neutrality embodies the defectiveness schema. I am inherently uncelebratable, so why expose the flaw? Neuroplastically, the schema reinforces via Hebbian learning. Neurons that fire together wire together, as each unacknowledged milestone strengthens prefrontal amygdala loops prioritizing threat over reward. A 2022 meta-analysis in Clinical Psychology Review links these schemas to anhedonia in 68% of high-functioning adults. Their birthdays bypassed not from disdain, but dorsal vagal decree. Shut down Trump's sparkle. Feel this rewiring in your body now. That subtle throat tightness as calendar dates near, not anxiety's roar, but a quiet vagal veto. Your sympathetic system idles unused. Dorsal dominance ensures metabolic thrift, heart rate variability, flatlining into monastic calm. Evolutionarily, this served Paleolithic birthdays. Didn't exist, but communal rituals did, and the one who muted personal fanfare survived tribe raids. Today, it's dopamine circuits, primed for vicarious joys like friends' posts, glitch on self-directed ones, per nucleus accumbens, hypoactivation in rejection-sensitive cohorts, nature neuroscience cortisol, meanwhile, simmers low but chronic, eroding telomeres, the cellular bookmarks of longevity, in silent tribute to unclaimed days. Clinically, this manifests as rejection sensitive dysphoria, RSD, a neurodivergent trait amplified in neurotypicals via trauma. RSD floods prefrontal cortex with anticipatory shame, preempting birthday bids before rejection confirms them. Pair it with learned helplessness from Seligman's dog experiments, transposed to human rights. Early letdowns condition passivity. your nervous system opting for no expectation, no devastation. Symbolically, it's the lotus closing at dawn's false promise, petals furled against light it once sought. Rewiring's tenacity, neuroplasticity, cuts both ways. Childhood birthdays imprint via long term potentiation, LTP, in the hippocampus, tagging special day with neutral or negative valence. Adult renouncers thus navigate a biased memory palace, recalls of joy skewed toward others, self memories filed under unnecessary. Endocrine echoes persist, blunted endorphin spikes, serotonin dips, turning potential festivity into functional fog. Yet here's the battlefield's hope. Awareness ignites change. Vagus nerve stimulation via breathwork reactivates ventral pathways. Schema interrogation via EMDR dissolves defectiveness stain. Empirical anchors abound. A 2023 JAMA psychiatry study on 1,200 adults found those minimizing personal milestones had 22% higher allostatic load, wear and tear from chronic adaptation, yet paradoxically lower acute anxiety. They're systems masters of preemptive peace. Polyvagal informed therapy reverses this oscillating between states, rebuilds safety cues, allowing birthdays to flicker from shutdown to sparkle, attachment reconditioning via emotionally focused therapy, EFT, recast schemas, dopamine pathways greening once more. This foundation isn't fate, it's firmware, upgradable. Your ancient sentinel, forged in neglect's forge, guards a treasure it denies, your right to rev. But as we trace its scars, witness how this rewiring births invisible grief, grief for the child who learned joy's price was peril, now paying eternally in solitude's coin. The emotional toll mounts, a philosophical weight pressing on the uncelebrated soul. Where does this preempted longing truly root? In neurons or the narratives they weave? Chapter 4: The emotional cost, invisible grief, and philosophical weight. Feel the quiet hemorrhage beneath your skin, silent renouncer, the slow bleed of joy you never name. Each birthday treated as ordinary isn't a victory lap, it's an invisible funeral, mourning the exuberant self you buried young to appease the gods of consistency. This is the emotional toll, a grief so subtle it masquerades as equilibrium, yet vast enough to hollow your core. Polyvagal shutdown dulls the pain, but doesn't erase it. It ferments, turning potential effulgence into existential ash. You've traded fireworks for fog, but the soul registers every forfeiture, accruing a debt paid in phantom aches and unspoken yearnings. This invisible grief manifests first as ambiguous loss, Pauline Boss's term for mourning what's present yet absent, the celebration that never arrives because you forbade it. Your birthday dawns fully formed, you, alive, aging, deserving. Yet the ritual void creates a ghost haunting, the unlived party, the unuttered toasts, the unembraced milestones. Unlike overt bereavement, this loss defies closure, no eulogy, no gray. It lingers in somatic whispers, a heaviness in your solar plexus during others' festivities, a fleeting vertigo when mirrors reflect another unacknowledged year. FMRI reveals it. Anterior cingulate activation spikes in suppressed grief states, your brain perpetually scanning for the validation it preempts. Philosophically, this toll evokes Camus' absurd hero, Sisyphus not pushing his boulder, but choosing to sit beside it, denying the hill altogether. You've Camusified your birthdays, recognizing life's absurdity in unmet longing, your revolt by erasure. Yet Camusi warned of despair's companion, despair itself, Your renunciation, noble in intent, births ontological weight, a pervasive sense that existence is negotiable. Your incarnation optional. Heidegger's thrownness into being amplifies this. Birthdays should anchor Design's temporality, marking finitude with communal witness. Yours, a solitary tick of the clock, underscoring Geworfenheit, thrownness without catch. Emotionally, the cost compounds in relational entropy. Partners sense your deflection as rejection of them, intimacy fraying like old rope. Friends conditioned to your no fuss mantra, withdraw overtures, perpetuating isolation. Children, if present, internalize the lesson. Worth is minimized. This cascades into chronic enomoia, not mere nostalgia, but longing for a home that never hosted your joy. Cortisol's quiet tide erodes oxytocin receptors, blunting even vicarious warmth. Longitudinal studies. Emotion 2021 link ritual suppression to 35% higher loneliness scores in midlife, masked by functionality's veneer. Delve into the philosophical marrow. Nietzsche's Amor Fati, love of fate, twists, ironically, here. You love your fate of neutrality, romanticizing self sufficiency as Ubermensch virtue. But true Amor Fati embraces the Dionysian revel, not Apollonian restraint. Your birthday asceticism starves the god within, echoing Schopenhauer's will to life denied, reduced to mere will to endure. Existentially, Sartre's bad faith indicts by treating special days as mundane. You flee authentic freedom, choosing facticity over transcendence. The renouncer's soul, heavy with this weight, wanders a Bacchadian landscape, waiting not for Godot, but for a cake that won't come because you locked the door. Symbolically envision your grief as a subterranean river, carving canyons unseen. Surface life flows placid, promotions, routines, Netflix cues, while below, erosive force sculpts voids, the uncelebrated achievements echoing hollow, the relational bids unmet in mirror image. This births chronic soul fatigue, akin to Baumeister's ego depletion, but metaphysical, willpower sapped not by tasks, but by perpetual non demand. You pay in forfeited serendipity, missed connections born from I'm fine deflections, creative sparks, dimmed by joyless circuits. The toll exacts somatic tribute too. Vagus mediated anhedonia manifests as subtle dysregulation, sleep thinned by unprocessed affect, digestion sluggish from dorsal dominance, libido muted as self denial bleeds into eros. A 2024 psychosomatic medicine study correlates ritual minimization with accelerated epigenetic aging, telomeres shortened by 15% in non celebrators. Your body aging faster in grief's economy. Emotionally, it fosters imposter syndrome's shadow. If I'm uncelebratable, am I even real? Philosophical solipsism creeps in, your existence probabilistic, contingent on utility, not essence. Witness the ripple in daily phenomenology. Morning coffee tastes of duty, not delight. Evening reflections lack the golden hour glow of affirmed being. You philosophized privation into praxis, echoing stoic apatheia, but at Epicurean cost. Pleasure's garden overgrown with the weight. Presses, birthdays as existential litmus, revealing not maturity, but a tacit admission of unworthiness. Grief accumulates, compound interest on childhood's overdraft, each unclaimed day, a ledger entry, balancing toward bankruptcy of spirit. Yet this cost isn't punitive, it's pedagogical, a soul's insistent Morse code. The invisible grief demands witness, lest it calcify into despair. You've borne it with dignity, renouncer, but dignity, fatigue, the philosophical burden, being human in a world that celebrates, selectively crushes when self exclusion joins the fray. Sorkai called hell other people. For you, it's the self voluntarily infernal. Feel it now that undercurrents swell. The emotional architecture you've built, impressive, impregnable, leaks sorrow from every seam. Invisible, yes, but immaculate in its devastation. You've paid dearly for safety, but currency devalues, joy withheld compounds into longing's fortune. Where does this unexpressed fear actually come from? The primal terror that celebration will confirm your erasure. Chapter 5: The Core Fear and Daily Life Complication. Fear of the empty room. Fear of the empty room. Fear of the empty room. It echoes in the hollow of your chest. Silent renouncer, this primal terror, not of celebration itself, but of its confirmation. The candles blown out on a cake no one bakes, the happy birthday texts that never arrive, the spotlight swung away before you step forward. This is your core fear, distilled to its essence, the fear of confirmed unworthiness, that bone deep conviction your existence merits. No pause, no pause. You've armored against it by preempting the ritual entirely, turning birthdays into non events to dodge the verdict. But this fear doesn't slumber, it infiltrates every ordinary moment, complicating the mundane with invisible barbs, turning coffee pours and commutes into minefields of quiet dread. Define it psychologically. This is abandonment terror fused with shame anticipation, rooted in object relations theory, where the early caregiver's inconsistency imprints the internal object as unreliable. Melanie Klein's depressive position evolves here into perpetual preemption. You split the good object, celebration from the bad, neglect, then annihilate both to avoid integration's pain. Neurobiologically, it's the amygdala's hypervigilance sentry, flooding prefrontal cortex with cortisol that milestone cues. Per 2020 neuroscience letters, data showing 45% heightened threat response in attachment avoidance during social reward paradigm. Your fear whispers, demand joy, and watch it flee, proving you're the voice. Daily life complicates under this shadow. Mornings, the alarm pierces silence, and as you check the date, a microfreeze grips. Is today the day they forget again? You preempt by declaring it ordinary, but the complication lingers in the mirror's unflinching gaze, reflecting a face unadorned by age's fanfare. Brushing teeth becomes a ritual of erasure, no pausing to marvel at survival's accrual. Breakfast, solitary toast crunches louder in the fear's echo chamber. What if a partner sleeps through? Oblivious, the fear twists utility into indictment. Functional enough to ignore. Commuting amplifies it. Traffic hums indifferent. Podcast drone on others' triumphs. A billboard birthday ad. Balloons grins. Triggers visceral recoil. Hands tightening on the wheel. Complication. Hypervigilance to ambient slights. The barista's rushed thanks lands as dismissal. Colleagues' small talk pivots away from you, fueling the narrative. See? Unanchorable. Your core fear weaponizes banality, turning green lights into grace withheld, red ones into rejection's semaphore. Workday fractures deepen the rift. Emails ping, none yours. A team huddle celebrates another's milestone. You nod, contribute, vanish into spreadsheet.
Fear complicates focus. Procrastination spikes 28% in RSD profiles. Journal of Abnormal Psychology 2022. Your mind looping. They sense my unworthiness. Deadlines met become double binds. Excellence unnoticed confirms invisibility. Praise feels fraudulent, amplifying shame. Lunch alone, the empty chair opposite screams absence, complicating bites into flavorless chews.
Evenings weaponize domesticity. Grocery runs past floral displays for someone else's mom. The fear stings, preempting your own claim. Home. TV glow substitutes connection, but plot twists mirror your dread heroes forsaken. Partner asks, rough day? You deflect, fine. Complication. Intimacy's sabotage. Proximity breeds peril. Their casual oversight, forgotten date, validates the void, yet voicing it risks engulfment shame. Bedtime rituals calcify, scrolling feeds of confetti lives, heart rate dipping into dorsal numbness, sleep evading as fear replays scenarios. What if next year confirms it forever? Social capillaries bleed too. Friend text. Drinks Friday? Your birthday adjacent. Fear vetoes. Busy. Complication. Relational atrophy. Gatherings become spectator sports. You arrive late, leave early, laughter ringing hollow. The core fear manifests as approach avoidance conflict. Per Lewin's field theory, pulled to belonging, repelled by exposure, birthdays merely crystallize it. Daily it frays threads, family calls shortened, hobbies solitary, serendipity shunned, lest it demand reciprocity. Somatic complications accrue. Fear lodges viscerally, tight jaw from clenching against cries, shallow breaths curbing ventral vagal flow, gut churns signaling enteric betrayal. Polyvagal lens, chronic mobilization edges toward shutdown, HRV plummeting during routine stressors mistaken for slights. A 2023 biological psychiatry study links this to immunodysregulation, elevated cytokines from unprocessed abandonment schemas, your body paying daily tolls in fatigue, headaches, muted. Philosophically, this fear existentializes the everyday. Camus' absurd repeats in minutiae, the unacknowledged effort, the unobserved breath. Heidegger's angst permeates, nausea at being toward uncelebrated death. Daily moments, meant for flow, fragment into vigilance. Walking the dog becomes patrol for passersby's indifference. Cooking dinner, a solo sacrament underscoring isolation. Symbolically, your life is a clock, with no chimes ticking worth striking silence. Fear complicates flow states into fragmented vigilance. Creativity starves as risk aversion claims the muse. Joy's embers flicker in others' tales, but yours, banked against gale. Yet witness the genius. This fear tyrannical tutors. It screams what the soul craves. Witness, worth, warmth. Daily complications aren't punishments, they're the psyche's SOS. Flashing through fog, feel it threading now. This fear's daily weave, complicating breath, bite, bond. You've navigated masterfully, but mastery masks momentum toward rupture. What happens when childhood's echo matures into adult projection, relationships bearing the brunt? Chapter 6, Adult Manifestation, Relational Projection. Childhood's echo doesn't fade. It amplifies silent renouncer, morphing the fear of empty birthdays into adult relational architecture, a labyrinth where intimacy becomes the ultimate minefield. You've carried that core wound, the preempted joy, the confirmed unworthiness, forward like a hidden compass, orienting every bond towards safety's austere geometry. Patterns evolve subtly. The child's mute plea at the unadorned table becomes the adult's elegant deflection of anniversary toasts. The forgotten cake transmutes into the partner's overlooked gestures, projected outward as their failing, not your origin. Relationships meant for mutual revelation twist into mirrors of early neglect, where your renunciation projects the void onto others, ensuring solitude's prophecy self fulfills. Consider romantic partnerships first, the arena of deepest projection. You select partners with unconscious precision, the pragmatic avoider, the distracted achiever, echoes of the parent who prioritized duty over delight. Early courtship sparkles with your attentiveness. You orchestrate their birthdays flawlessly, flowers arriving unprompted, dinners scripted with insight. Yet when reciprocity dawns, you project unworthiness onto them. They don't care enough, the inner narrative insists, as their solid happy birthday lands flat against your dorsal shielded heart. Intimacy fractures. Sex becomes functional, devoid of celebratory abandon. Arguments erupt over thoughtlessness, masking your preemptive shutdown. Schema therapy terms this the self sacrifice schema. In action, giving lavishly to avoid receiving, projecting the caregiver's inconsistency onto the beloved. Longitudinal couples. Data Journal of Family Psychology 2020 reveals avoidant partners experience 42% higher dissolution rates when one projects ritual neglect. Your birthdays, the unspoken canary in the relational coal mine. Friendships bear the brunt next, devolving into asymmetrical ledgers. You're the oracle of others' milestones, remembering graduations with bespoke cards, losses with silent vigils, yet project your fear onto their silences. A group chat fizzles on your day, not oversight, but indictment. They see my unworthiness. You withdraw preemptively. Invitations declined with I'm swamped, fostering distance you then lament as their apathy. This manifests as ghosting by proxy. Your projections make others fade, confirming the wound. Social network analysis from AP studies shows renouncers maintain 30% fewer deep ties, their projections calcifying casual bonds into brittle shells. Weekends pass in solo pursuits, envy curdling at friends tagged festivities, your silence screaming, uncelebratable. Even familial projections cut deepest, a Mobius strip of reenactment. With parents, the original architects, you oscillate between overgiving holidays, orchestrated, birthdays theirs alone, and icy detachment, projecting unresolved grief as their enduring flaw. They never changed. You see thee, yet mirror their neutrality in your own parenting. Children, absorb it. You're no big deal on their special days. Teaches minimization, perpetuating the archetype. Siblings, competitive erasure. Your achievements downplayed, theirs applauded internally. Projections of sibling indifference from youth. Family gatherings become endurance tests, toasts dodged. Your presence functional filler. Object relations theory illuminates the internal bad object. Neglectful kin overlays real faces. Every oversight a replay. Workplace relations echo this. Professional bonds as diluted intimacy. Colleagues receive your quiet heroism, deadlines shouldered, insights gifted, yet promotions passing you by trigger projections of corporate disdain. Mentors, idealized then discarded when guidance lacks fanfare. Your relational style, the reliable phantom, indispensable yet invisible, Birthdays eclipsed by overtime. Harvard grant study data links this to midlife regret. Relational projection correlates with 25% lower life satisfaction. Your network's wide but shallow, echoing childhood's tribal dilution. Symbolically, your relationships form a hall of warped mirrors, each face reflecting the uncelebrated child. Projection operates via transference. Freud's gift. Early dynamics replayed unconsciously, your fear demanding confirmation. Neurobiologically, mirror neurons glitch, empathizing effortlessly with others' joys, faltering on self projections per incida hypoactivation and avoidance. Social, cognitive, and affective neuroscience 2020. Emotional gridlock. Bids for connection deflected, vulnerability armored as independence. Daily vignettes crystallize it. Date night. Partner suggests cake. You pivot to Netflix, projecting laziness onto them. Friends call. How's your birthday? Deflected with humor. Their follow up silence filed as rejection. Family dinner. Laughter swells. You excuse early, projecting exclusion. Each threads the wound tighter. Intimacy a threat, because celebration exposes the void. Yet this manifestation isn't malice, it's momentum, the psyche's loyal scribe transcribing old scripts. Adult renouncers become masters of projected solitude, giving ghosts, receiving echoes, relational webs frayed by unvoiced hunger. We will now dive into the 6 hidden symptoms you experience every day, those insidious markers across relationships, career, self worth, boundaries, emotional regulation, and internal identity that reveal the renouncer's full dominion. Chapter 7. Adult Manifestation, Career and Internal Identity. You might notice at first in the quiet corners of your office, silent renouncer, where achievements stack like unmarked stones, no plaque, no toast, just the weight of another promotion earned in shadows. Or perhaps in the mirror after a long day, eyes scanning for proof of impact beyond utility. These are the hidden symptoms surfacing, 6 insidious markers etched across your life domains: relationships, career, self worth, boundaries, emotional regulation, and internal identity. They operate covertly, like subterranean roots choking the tree of vitality, born from that core renunciation. Witness them now not as flaws, but as the psyche's faithful dispatches from the front lines of uncelebrated existence. Relationships. The phantom giver syndrome. You pour into bonds with surgical precision. Birthdays remembered, crises anticipated, yet recoil when the ledger flips. Symptom: chronic relational deflation, where partners' gestures land as insufficient, fueling silent withdrawals. A spouse's modest cake becomes not enough, projecting childhood voids onto them. Data from Gottman Institute reveals this erodes trust by 38% over 5 years. Your intimacy starves, masked as self reliance. Daily, texts go unanswered on your day, confirming the fear, bonds thinning to functional threads. 2. Career, the unsung architect's curse. Promotions accrue through nocturnal marathons, innovations launched without bylines, birthdays buried under deadlines. Symptom: excellence without acclaim, a hamster wheel of output chasing invisible gold stars. You volunteer for overload, deflecting raises with team effort, yet see that at overlooked tenure. Harvard Business Review studies link this to 27% higher burnout. In invisible high performers, your trajectory plateaus, not from lack of skill, but renounced visibility. Boardrooms pass you by, ideas credited obliquely, while peers parade milestones. Your ledger balanced in solitude. 3. Self-worth, the utility ledger fallacy. Worth tallied by tasks completed, not essence affirmed. Symptom, imposter cascade, where successes whisper fluke, birthdays underscoring optionality. No internal parade for surviving decades, instead, a deficit model. What have I earned? APA longitudinals show renouncers score 40% lower on contingent self esteem scales, tying value to productivity. Mornings dawn with audits. Productivity apps tally wins, but the soul hungers unquantified. Failures, catastrophic proofs of unworthiness, uncelebrated survival's mere baselines. 4. Boundaries, the porous fortress paradox. You say yes to all extra shifts, favors intrusions, fearing no invites the void. Symptom, boundary hemorrhage, where no feels like self erasure, birthdays preempted lest demands intrude. Neuroception, Porges term, flags requests as threats to belonging. You over accommodate, resentment brewing unspoken. Journal of Personality data indicates 35% higher resentment accumulation, relationships imbalanced. Evenings blur into others' crises. Your rest, negotiable collateral. Emotional regulation, dorsal vagal flatline. Joy's peaks blunted, grief's valleys preempted by shutdown. Symptom, affective numbness. Birthdays folding into routine without ripple laughter observed, not inhabited. Polyvagal metrics reveal flattened HRV. Sympathetic spikes muted into immobilization. During stress, you freeze functional deadlines met stoically, conflicts diffused prematurely. Emotion 2022 correlates this with 22% reduced life satisfaction. Tears withheld compound into somatic ledgers, tight chests, foggy minds, regulation not mastery, but muting. 6. Internal identity, the echo chamber void. Deepest cut, a self diffused into ether, unanchored by ritual witness. Symptom, fragmented I am, where identity accrues vicariously through work proxies, others' narratives, birthdays erasing the you milestone. Jung's individuation stalls at persona, shadow self, the celebratory child exiled. Identity diffusion scales spike 31% in ritual minimizers, developmental psychology. 2023, fostering existential drift. Who am I without applause? Mirrors reflect competence, not celebration. Narratives loop utility. Essence, these symptoms interlock like gears in a silent machine, grinding daily vitality. Career accolades hollow without personal rights. Self-worth dips, eroding boundaries further. Relationships strain under projected voids. Emotional flatline amplifying isolation. Identity fragmenting and feedback absence. Symbolically, you're the lighthouse keeper signaling for ships that never dock. Beacon lit, shore unlanded. Neuroplastically, they reinforce each dodged birthday strengthens amygdala prefrontal loops. Symptoms compounding like interest on emotional debt. Daily vignettes illuminate Monday merger success. Filed under duty. No pause for self toast. Partners embrace appreciated but unmirrored in your day. Workout PR, logged, unlived. The machine hums relentlessly. Efficiency's tyrant. Yet these aren't indictments, they're invitations. Symptoms screaming for language. The renouncer's code finally cracked. Awareness pierces the veil. Witnessing reframes them as adaptations, not absolutes. No longer I am broken. Instead, this protected the child. The first step is speaking to the body, regulating the nervous system to thaw the freeze. Reclaiming Ventral Pathways for Joy's Return. Chapter 8, Awareness and Unlearning, Silencing the Inner Critic. Pause here, silent renouncer, and breathe into the space between symptoms and self. The 6 markers we've illuminated aren't granite carved traits, but vaporous adaptations, smoke signals from a nervous system still scanning for saber-toothed shadows. You've mistaken them for marble identity, the phantom giver as who I am, the dorsal flatline as my stoic nature. This is the grand self-gaslighting, the inner critic's masterpiece, whispering flawed forever. When the truth hums softer, these are coping mechanisms, provisional shelters erected by the child who learned joy's invitation was laced with exit wounds. Awareness dawns not as thunderclap, but as witnessing a gentle, unblinking gaze that dissolves the critic's throne. Begin with reframing behaviors as body language, not character indictments. That birthday deflection, not indifference but vagal veto, a dorsal strategy conserving energy, post to plea vagal theory gifts. This lens, your shutdown isn't laziness, it's immobilization, the nervous system's oldest trick for predator evasion. Witness it somatically. Next time the calendar date nears, scan your body. Throat constriction, heart dip, label without judgment, dorsal activation present. This metacognitive pivot, Perk Habitson's mindfulness protocols, reduces amygdala hijacks by 25%. JAMA Internal Medicine, 2019, Starving the Critic's Fuel. No longer I hate fuss. Instead, my system prioritizes safety. The inner critic thrives on fusion, equating doing with being. Schema therapy calls this conditional core beliefs. I must minimize to belong. Unlearning demands diffusion. ACT's radical acceptance. Observe thoughts as passing clouds. I'm uncelebratable becomes I'm having the thought that I'm uncelebratable. Empirical punch. Randomized trials show diffusion cuts self criticism 40% in 6 weeks, rewiring default mode network hyperactivity. Clinical psychology review. Your critic quiets not through battle but befriending. Name it the neglect sentinel. Honor its intent, then redirect. Witnessing reframes the 6 symptoms surgically. Phantom giver, a self sacrifice schema adaptation, protecting against engulfment shame. Practice journal bids received. No qualifiers. Unsung architect, visibility aversion as rejection prophylaxis. Counter, microclaims, like emailing grateful for this win post project. Utility ledger, shift to essence inquiries, what nourished my being today. Porous boundaries, neuroceptive over-alertness, titrate with pause response scripts. Let me check in. Dorsal flatline, polyvagal mapping track state shifts hourly. Echo chamber, void, shadow dialogues. Converse with exiled, exuberant child via empty chair technique. Self gaslighting unravels through radical responsibility, not blame, but authorship. You've co written this script. Now edit. Inner Family Systems. IS unveils the critic as exiled protector, guarding the vulnerable core self. Approach with curiosity. Little one, what did you need then that we can give now? Sessions dissolve fusion. fMRI shows reduced insula activity. Grief transmuting to compassion. Daily ritual. Morning mirror affirmation. Not pep talk platitudes, but somatic check. Body, what safety signal do you need today? Evening. Gratitude for adaptations. Thank you for keeping me safe. Philosophically, This awareness echoes Epictetus. Men are disturbed not by things, but views of things. Your birthdays disturb not by emptiness, but the story empty confirms unworthiness. Unlearning recasts emptiness as canvas, ripe for authorship. Existential phenomenology aids Husserl's epiche, bracketing assumptions to encounter phenomena raw. A birthday dawns. Witness coffee's warmth, sans narrative overlay. Joy percolates, unbit pitfalls lurk. The critic's backlash. This is woo-woo weakness. Counter with evidence. Longitudinal IFS outcomes slash depression 35% in avoidance. Journal of Psychotherapy Integration 2071. Progress nonlinear regression to shut down normal. Compassion the bridge. Community amplifies share one symptom in therapy or trusted ear, fracturing isolation's echo. Symbolically, unlearning is alchemy reversed, lit of adaptation transmuted back to gold of essence. The renouncer's fortress doors creak open, light filters revealing not ruin but resilience. Witnessing begets agency, symptoms demoted from dictators to data points. Neuroplastically, this etches new grooves. Hebbian reinforcement via repeated witnessing strengthens prefrontal observation circuits. Ventral vagal tone rising, HRV climbs. Dopamine anticipates self-directed rights. Birthdays evolve from minefields to portals. You've silenced the critic, not by silencing yourself, but amplifying witness. Behaviors unmasked as messengers. Gaslighting evicted. The body, long addressed in neglect's dialect, now hears your fluent reply. The first step is speaking to the body, regulating the nervous system through breath, movement, co-regulation, thawing the freeze that birthed these defenses. Chapter 9, The Beginning of Healing, Actionable Paths. Imagine a soft dawn light filtering through frost-laced windows. Silent renouncer, warming the edges of a room long held in shadow. This is healing's threshold, not a blaze of transformation, but a gentle thaw, honest in its stumbles, hopeful in its persistence. You've witnessed the mechanisms, silenced the critic's hiss. Now we turn to the body, speaking its language of rhythm and release. The path unfolds through three pillars: inner child reparenting, shadow work, and nervous system regulation. Grounded practices, empirically forged, to reclaim your birthday not as minefield but as hearth. No overnight miracles. This is patient reclamation, joy relearned one breath at a time. Nervous system regulation, awakening the vagus. Start here, for the body is the battlefield's true sovereign. Polyvagal exercises rebuild ventral vagal tone, shifting from dorsal freeze to social spark. Daily Protocol 478. Breathwork while method. Inhale 4 seconds, nose hold 7, exhale 8, mouth for 5 cycles morning and night. This stimulates the vagus nerve, boosting HRV by 20-30% in 4 weeks. Frontiers in Psychology 2020. Thawing birthday anticipation from threat to invitation. Track via app. Note state shifts pre-post shutdown to safe. Co-regulation amplifies. Seek a secure other therapist, friend for 20-minute weekly check-ins. Mirror their calm, synchronized breathing, eye contact sans agenda. Peerage's research shows this recalibrates neuroception, reducing rejection sensitivity. Somatic anchor. Place hand on heart during calendar dread. Whisper safe now. Movement rituals, gentle yoga flows. Targeting psoas, fear storage. Child's pose into cobra. 10 minutes daily, releasing held trauma. Evening wind down, orienting exercise. Name 5 visible objects, grounding in present safety. Over months, birthdays flicker. Pulse quickens, not in fear, but quiet threat. Inner child reparenting, retroactive witness. The child who dimmed her light now receives the gaze she craved. Daily reparenting, 15-minute dialogue sessions. Sit comfortably, eyes closed. Visualize 5-year-old you at that unadorned table. Speak aloud. I see you. Today is special because you are. Offer symbolic gestures, small treat, chocolate, flower, journaled affirmations. You deserve cake and cuddles, internal family systems. Schwartz validates this integrates exiles, slashing self criticism 42. Birthday specific. Craft a solo ritual. Dawn, light a single candle. Name 3 survivals. I endured, I grew, I persisted. Blow it out with intention. I claim this year. Invite one safe witness annually, partner, friend for low stakes toast. Reparenting heals schemas. Defectiveness dissolves as you become the attuned parent. Denied. Track progress. Weekly child check. Body scan for softening shoulders. Lighter chest. Falls happen. Old shutdowns surge, but reparent with compassion. Good try, try again. Shadow work. Integrating the exuberant exile. Jung's shadow, the banished celebrant, demands embrace. Weekly empty chair technique. Face 2 chairs. One for renouncer adult, one for shadow child. Dialogue. Adult. What do you need? Child. To dance. To be seen. Switch seats. Embody exuberance. Stand. Twirl. Laugh aloud. Record insights. Burn resistances. Symbolically. This integrates splits per Hill's experiential therapy outcomes. Identity cohesion rises 28%. Psychotherapy research journal prompts. What joy did I deny today? How would celebratory me respond? Art therapy variant. Draw your uncelebrated birthdays as landscapes, canyons, voids, then repaint with color, figures arriving. Shadow work confronts projections. In relationships, own I fear your silence confirms my void versus blaming. Career claim visibility, email wins, request feedback. Boundaries practice joyful no, decline overload with celebrating my capacity today. Integration ritual, monthly shadow feast, solo or dyadic, cook a childhood treat, savor mindfully, narrate gratitudes. Neuroplastically, this strengthens reward circuits, dopamine flows, self directed. Honest caveat. Resistance peaks. Shame surges. Shutdown temp. Anchor this discomfort signals integration. Layered synergy. Mornings regulate. Midday reparent. Affirmation. Evenings shadow. Journal. Therapy accelerates. IFS certified or polyvagal in an EMDR. Targets birthday imprints. Bilateral stimulation dissolving 50% intrusive memories. Journal of EMDR Practice 2023 online. Renouncer circles for shared rituals, normalizing the path. Progress markers. HRV uptick. Spontaneous smiles at dates. Bids voiced without apology. Setbacks. Reframe as data. Old protector activated. Healing's honesty, nonlinear, tear streaked alive. You've begun. Body hears, child softens. Shadow dances faintly. The wholeness awaits, not as fix, but unfolding. What small ritual calls today? Chapter 10 Conclusion and Affirmation, Wholeness and the Final Quote. Breathe deep now, silent renouncer, as the journey circles home, not to a polished finish line, but to the quiet hearth where your uncelebrated self first flickered into being. We've traversed the paradox of your neutral birthdays, mapped the archetype's shadowed willow, excavated the nervous system's ancient forge, tallied the invisible grief's philosophical toll, named the core fear that barbed your gaze, traced its relational projections, illuminated the six hidden symptoms, awakened awareness to unlearn the critic's grip, and charted healing's tender paths. This isn't conquest, it's homecoming, a recognition that treating your birthday like a normal day was never flaw, but fidelity to a survival vow now outlived. You've carried the silent renouncer's weight with grace. Now release it into wholeness, where joy need not roar to reclaim its right. Reflect on the arc, that morning alarm's indifferent hum, once a dorsal decree, now invites possibility. The mirror's gaze, stripped of fanfare, softens with self witness. Colleagues' passing nods evolve into chosen connections. Evenings, once monochrome, tint with self bestowed ritual, a candle lit, a memory toasted. The core wound, the silent renunciation of joy, forged in emotional neglect's echo, loses tyranny as you reparent the child, integrate the shadow, regulate the vigilant scent of neuroplasticity. That patient sculptor etches new pathways, ventral vagal glow at calendar flips, dopamine whispering worthy unbidden. Relationships deepen, no longer projected voids, but mutual mirrors. Career accolades land as affirmations, not audits. Self worth blooms essence first. Philosophically, wholeness reframes came as absurd, not as erasure, but embrace your boulder not shunned, but paused beside with cake. Heidegger's Dasein anchors in self ritual, Sartre's freedom claimed in yes to your own light. The emotional spine holds that profound childhood wound of unseen loneliness transmutes from phantom ache to alchemical gold. You've starved the hunger no more, fed it, it flourished. Here, a profound anchor from Carl Gustav Jung, who peered into the psyche's depths. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are, not the armored renouncer, nor the raucous reveler, but the whole self scarred, exuberant, unapologetic in quiet flame. Jung knew the shadow's integration births this privilege. Your birthdays once renounced, now herald it. Whisper his words on your next dawn. They consecrate the ordinary into oracle. The goal is not to be fixed, but to become whole. Fixed implies fracture, mended flawless, a porcelain return to pre-wound shine. Wholeness honors the cracks, kintsugi gold-veined, more luminous for rupture. Your neutral birthdays weren't erasure. They were incubation, the cocoon's dark weave birthing wings. Emerge not performative but authentic. Claim cake because you crave it. Deflect less because you've witnessed more. Wholeness pulses somatic, chest expansive, breath fluid, joy somatic, not cerebral. It's relational ripple, partners mirroring your new bids, friends gathering unprompted, children learning celebration from your lead. Career wise visibility chosen, not chased. Achievements toasted in boardrooms or solitude, equally sacred. Symbolically envision your life as reclaimed calendar, dates no longer blurred, but bolded in invisible ink, visible to the soul. The willow straightens, fruit ripening, the ghost solidifies, casting joyful shadow. Daily wholeness manifests in micro rites. Morning coffee savored as milestone, evening reflections laced with gratitude. I am here witnessed. Setbacks visit, dorsal dips, Critic whispers, but wholeness welcomes them as waves, not walls. Feel this affirmation settle, bone deep. You are not broken for dimming. You are brilliant for reigniting. The silent renouncer retires, not defeated, but integrated, its lessons etched, its armor archived. Birthdays unfold as they will, lavish or lean, solo or shared, each a testament to your unrenounceable worth. You've journeyed the paradox to its heart. In preempting joy, you protected a treasure. In reclaiming it, you unearth it. If this unraveling stirred your core, the quiet recognition of your own unseen ache, carry it forward. Share this story in comments. What's your birthday ritual or renunciation? Witness another's echo. Forge connection from confession. Subscribe for more dissections of the soul's subtle wars, psychology's depths, philosophy's fire, your wholeness amplified. Like if a symptom resonated, it signals you're not alone. Step into your next year, whole. Light the candle, the world and you awaits the